Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to see chapter force and pressure of physics. So today we will even learn all the numericals and the formulas in this video. So without any further ado, let's get started. A push or pull acting on an object is called the force. The direction in which the body is pulled or pushed is called the direction of the force. Effects of force. A force can change direction, shape, size of an object. A force can move a stationary object. A force can even stop a moving object. So like you can see, if you push a thing from the right side, it will move to the left, and from left it will move to the right. This is how the force changes the direction, speed. Sometimes when you push something so hard, the speed of its moving gets increased. This is how the effects of force. Speed increases, shape. If you have seen your mother cooking chapati, she uses muscular force to make the chapati circular and plain. So this is how force changes the shape of an object. And size also, you can see in chapati how sometimes it's so big, sometimes it's so small. It can move a stationary object. Yeah, when you need to move some object from its place, you use force to move it. Stopping a moving object, when you ride a bicycle, when you keep a brake, so at that time you use force to stop your bicycle. So now let's learn about some important terms. The net force is the sum of two forces applied on the same object in the same direction. If you apply two forces on an object and at the same direction, so this is known as net force. But if on the same object one time the force is applied from left and one time from right, so its total net force will be 0 because you have applied force from left also and right also. So you can see that if you push an object from the both sides, it will not move from its place. Why? Because it has no net force. The net force is 0. The net force is the difference between two applied forces. If two forces apply, an object acts in the opposite direction. So this is how the net force is the difference between two applied forces. Now we will learn about types of forces. So basically there are two types of forces, contact and non-contact forces. The force which come in action when the two objects are actually in each other's contact. Yeah. So sometimes like in muscular force, when your mama is cooking chapati, so her hand is connected to one roller which is applying force to the chapati. So like this, the chapati and the roller are in the actual contact of each other. So it can be an example of contact force. Okay, but sometimes they are not in contact of each other. So in that case, it is known as non-contact force. There are three types of non-contact force and one type of contact force. So let me show you all of those. So there are two types of contact force, which are frictional and muscular force. So muscular force is the force which results due to the action of muscle. When you cook chapati, the force is exerted by your muscles of the hand. That is why the chapatis become plain and circular in shape. And in frictional force, it always opposes the motion of one body. When an object is there, it is also in one motion, and when you apply force to it with your hands or with anything, so it is in frictional because they both are together connected. So in this way they are contact force. Muscular force also helps in breathing and in various fun activities, like a footballer is kicking a football, so it is a muscular force because the pressure is applied by its muscle. And when a boy needs to push or pull up boxes, he uses frictional force to do the work. Why? Because frictional force, both of the objects are in proper contact. So like this, the frictional force works. So muscular force also helps in doing very fun activities, and also it helps in breathing and like respiration. So there the force is applied by our muscles. Frictional force, when a boy needs to push or pull the box, he uses frictional force because the both forces are in contact to each other. Non-contact force, are of three types: gravitational, electrostatic, and magnetic. Gravitational force is exerted by every planet like Earth. You are standing over the Earth due to its gravitational force. Otherwise, we would be flying over the Earth. So next is electrostatic force. It is the force exerted by an electrically charged object. Like if you rub a plastic comb in your hair or a plastic scale in your hair and you just put it up on the small pieces of paper, they'll be in the contact of that, they'll start sticking to it because it's the electrostatic force. Because when you rub it in your scalp, the comb or the scale gets charges of electricity from your scalp. Yeah, the scalp also has some electricity. Magnetic force is exerted by a magnet. Example can be when you bring an iron pin near a magnet, the magnet sticks to it, so this is the magnetic force as the magnet pulls the iron object towards it. Now let's study about the pressure. The force acting on the unit of surface, acting on the unit area of surface is called pressure. Pressure equals to force upon area, and pressure is directly proportional to force but inversely proportional to area. This is a very important line, so mark it up properly and write it up. And force is equals to pressure into area. Here I have given even two numericals in which we have to find out the pressure, so which you can easily see. So like the force would be given to you, like here the force is 200 Newton and the area is 20 meters square. So as pressure equals to force upon area, the force will be at the upside and the pressure will be in the denominator. And now you can just solve them up and your answer is here. Application of pressure in real life. A sharp knife cuts better than a blunt knife. When you see two types of knives, so sometimes the knife is so sharp that it can cut your veggies and your paper easily, but sometimes the knife is so blunt to cut your stuff. So this shows the pressure that a sharp knife is better than a blunt knife to cut things as it cuts faster and better. Potter places thick round cloth on his head to carry heavy load. You have many times seen many potters carrying loads on their heads, and some home workers as well, which are masons, carrying some sand on their heads. So they use a cloth piece. If you have noticed that, so you can see that. They usually do this to reduce the pressure on their heads because the load is very heavy. So now let's study about the atmospheric pressure. But before studying about atmospheric pressure, we should know that what is atmosphere. So the envelope of air around the earth, around us, is known as atmosphere, which spreads about 3 kilometers above in the space. This is the thing that exerts pressure on earth. If you know that air is also having weight, so it is extending up to 300 kilometers above the earth. So you can understand how much pressure does the air have, how much weight does the air have. Due to this weight, the air also exerts some pressure. The atmosphere exerts this pressure on earth. So this pressure is known as atmospheric pressure. But for measuring the atmospheric pressure, we use an object, a device known as barometer. It is a 1 or 2 marks question. You can get this as an MCQs or as an filler. So remember this, and it's very important. So next is on the surface of earth at the sea level, it is 760 mm of Hg. So Hg is a unit of measuring atmospheric pressure. So this was all for this chapter, but now let's see some examples of forces which will help us to revise all whatever we studied. A horse pulling a cart is muscular force. Why? Because the force is applied by the horse muscle. Okay, so next is a sticker attached to fridge without glue. Probably magnetic force. As you know that a fridge attracts magnet or magnet attracts fridge. So if you want to stick something without glue over the fridge, you can use magnet, and this is known as magnetic force. A coin falling on ground after slipping from hand. So this is probably gravitational force, as Earth's gravitational force pulled everything to itself. That is why we are standing over Earth, or else we would be flying. And the last is a moving boat coming into rest into sea. It is a frictional force, as both of the dam has came into the contact and are in right to right contact with each other. If you have any queries, you can ask them in the comment section. And today's question is, what is the shape of Earth? Thanks for watching.